In the vast, cold darkness of space, a massive alien vessel drifted silently. Captain Hyun-Ki Park stood motionless, his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the approaching threat. The Void Marauders were coming, and they were unstoppable. The alien ship belonged to the Krellner Confederation, a once proud civilization now reduced to a desperate remnant of its former self. Their deep blue skin seemed to pale even further as the sensor readings confirmed the worst possible scenario. Massive energy signatures were building up around their defensive perimeter, indicating the Void Marauders were preparing for their final assault. Hyun-Ki's communication officer, a nervous junior named Woo Jin, trembled as he reported the incoming wave of destructive energy. The ship's defensive systems were already at maximum capacity, but everyone knew it wouldn't be enough. Years of conflict had taught them that the Void Marauders showed no mercy, no compassion, and no desire for anything except total annihilation. "Prepare the emergency beacon," Hyun-Ki commanded, his voice calm despite the chaos surrounding him. His fingers moved across the control panel, inputting a series of complex encryption codes that would broadcast their desperate message across multiple star systems. The ship shuddered. External cameras showed the first wave of enemy vessels approaching, sleek, predatory machines that seemed more like living nightmares than technological constructs. Their hull designs were organic yet mechanical, shifting and changing like liquid metal prepared to consume everything in their path. Woo Jin's hands shook as he activated the long-range communication array. A complex signal began to pulse through the darkness of space, carrying the Krellner's final hope for survival. It was a beacon of desperation, a cry for help that would travel across thousands of light-years. "Target locked," a computerized voice announced. The first enemy projectiles began to tear through the Krellner ship's outer defenses. Hyun-Ki watched as sections of their vessel started to disintegrate. Crew members were being sucked into the vacuum of space, their last moments marked by silent screams and floating fragments of what was once a proud spacecraft. He knew their chances of survival were virtually zero. The emergency beacon continued to pulse, sending out a complex message that contained their entire civilization's history, their current location, and a desperate plea for intervention. It was more than just a distress signal, it was a final testament to a species about to be erased from existence. Explosions ripped through the ship's interior. Alarms blared in a cacophony of electronic warnings. Hyun-Ki remained steady, watching as their last hope of survival was transmitted into the infinite darkness of space. He wondered if anyone would hear their call, if any civilization would be brave or powerful enough to respond. "Transmission complete," Woo Jin announced, his voice breaking. Hyun-Ki nodded, a small smile crossing his face. They had done everything possible. Now, all they could do was wait and hope that somewhere, somehow, someone would come to their rescue. The Void Marauders' weapons continued to tear through the ship. Metal twisted and buckled, life support systems failed, and the once magnificent vessel began to break apart. In these final moments, Captain Hyun-Ki Park stood tall, watching the enemy approach, knowing that their desperate message might be their only legacy. As the ship's final sections began to disintegrate, the emergency beacon continued its journey through the cold, indifferent universe. A tiny beacon of hope sent from a dying civilization, traveling faster than light, carrying with it the last chance for survival. Little did they know, the message was already racing towards a planet called Earth, where a species unlike any they had ever encountered was about to receive their desperate call for help. The universe held its breath, waiting for a response. The United Earth Defense Command sat deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, a fortress of technology and human determination. Admiral Jae-Wha Kim studied the incoming transmission, her fingers tracing the complex signal patterns displayed on massive holographic screens. Outside the command center, the world continued its daily routine. Cities buzzed with activity, unaware that a message from the depths of space would change everything. The signal had passed through multiple encryption filters, triggering a series of automated protocols that few humans even knew existed. Jae-Wha noticed something unique about the transmission. It wasn't just a simple distress call, it was a complete cultural download. Thousands of years of alien history, technological specifications, and star charts were compressed into a tiny burst of information. Her team of analysts worked quickly, decoding the complex message. "We have confirmed origin," Lieutenant Park announced, his voice cutting through the tension. "The signal comes from the outer rim of the Andromeda Galaxy. Complete civilization under attack. The room fell silent. Humans had long been considered a backwater species by galactic standards. Most advanced civilizations viewed Earth as a primitive planet, too violent and unpredictable to be trusted with interstellar diplomacy. But those same civilizations never understood humanity's greatest strength, its ability to transform potential weakness into overwhelming power. Admiral Kim's eyes narrowed. The alien civilization's technology was advanced, yet they had been completely overwhelmed by their attackers. This meant the threat was significant, potentially a danger to Earth in the future if left unchecked. "Prepare the Deathworlder protocol," she commanded. Across the military base, massive hangar doors began to open. Experimental warships, designs that had been kept secret for decades, started to power up. These were not ordinary spacecraft. Each vessel represented humanity's most advanced military technology, born from centuries of conflict and technological innovation. The RSS Thunderbolt, humanity's most advanced warship, slowly rose from its underground dock. Its obsidian-like hull absorbed and redirected energy, making traditional targeting systems virtually useless. Quantum-entangled weapon systems hummed with potential, ready to deliver destruction beyond any known military doctrine. Recruitment for the mission was swift. The best pilots, strategists, and combat specialists were selected within hours. They understood this wasn't just a rescue mission. It was an opportunity to prove humanity's worth on a galactic stage. Military databases quickly analyzed the alien civilization's attackers. The Void Marauders represented a threat unlike anything humanity had encountered. They consumed entire planetary systems, leaving nothing but cosmic dust in their wake. Traditional diplomatic approaches would be useless. Commander Suko Lee, selected to lead the first assault team, reviewed the mission parameters. His team represented the best of human military training, adaptable, ruthless, and technologically superior. They weren't just soldiers, they were humanity's first true interstellar warriors. Communications satellites across Earth began tracking the massive fleet's preparation. News would break soon, but by then, the Deathworlder Armada would already be in slipspace, racing towards a civilization on the brink of total destruction. Admiral Kim watched the preparation with a sense of grim satisfaction. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. The galaxy would soon learn that Earth was not just another backwater planet, it was a sleeping giant ready to unleash its full potential. As the first ships began their quantum slipspace jump, a single thought resonated through the command center: the rescue was coming, and it would be nothing like anyone expected. The universe was about to meet humanity's true face, not as peaceful explorers, but as the most dangerous species ever to emerge from a tiny blue planet. The Deathworlder Armada was in motion, and nothing would stand in its way. The quantum slipspace opened like a violent wound in the fabric of reality. The RSS Thunderbolt emerged first, its obsidian hull gleaming with an almost living intensity against the backdrop of an alien star system. Commander Suko Lee stood motionless on the bridge, his eyes locked on the tactical display showing the approaching Void Marauder fleet. Alien sensors barely had time to register the human arrival before destruction began. The first wave of Void Marauder ships moved to intercept, their liquid metal hulls shifting and reforming like nightmarish organic machines. They expected an easy prey, another civilization to consume and forget. They were wrong. Quantum-entangled projectiles erupted from the human vessels. Each weapon was a marvel of destruction that defied conventional physics. Where traditional missiles would puncture or explode, these human weapons literally unraveled molecular structures. Entire sections of Void Marauder ships simply ceased to exist, their complex structures breaking down into atomic dust. Target acquisition complete, the Thunderbolt's AI announced with cold precision. Commander Lee didn't respond. His team moved with mechanical efficiency, each action calculated and purposeful. The battle transformed from a potential rescue mission to a demonstration of absolute technological superiority. Human ships danced between enemy formations, their energy shields laughing at weapons that would have obliterated most civilizations. Defensive systems adapted faster than the Void Marauders could adjust their attack patterns. Plasma torpedoes cut through space like liquid lightning, each strike precisely calculated to maximum effect. The human fleet didn't just fight, they dismantled. Every movement was a surgical strike, every weapon a precise instrument of total destruction. Communication channels from the alien confederation watched in stunned silence. The Krellner survivors, who had sent the desperate distress call, could hardly believe what they were witnessing. These humans weren't just fighting, they were performing an almost artistic deconstruction of a supposedly superior enemy. Commander Lee's voice remained calm. Maintain attack vector. Total elimination of hostile force is the primary objective. The Void Marauders began to realize they were facing something entirely unexpected. These weren't typical defenders. These were warriors from a world that had turned conflict into an art form. Every human ship moved with an intelligence that suggested they were more than mere machines, they were living weapons. Explosive decompression created beautiful yet terrifying patterns of destruction. Enemy ships broke apart like fragile glass, their advanced technology no match for human innovation. What should have been a complex battle became a one-sided demonstration of technological superiority. Within minutes, entire squadrons of Void Marauder vessels disappeared. Not defeated. Not destroyed. Simply erased from existence. The quantum weapon systems of the human fleet continued their precise dance of destruction. Each strike was calculated, each movement purposeful. The universe watched as a new player entered the galactic stage. Not as a peaceful explorer, but as a force of absolute technological dominance. Sensors on the Krellner observation platforms captured every moment. They were witnessing something unprecedented, a rescue mission that was transforming into a complete annihilation of a supposedly superior enemy force. As the last Void Marauder ship fragmented into cosmic dust, an eerie silence fell across the star system. Commander Lee's only response was a simple command: mission progression. Prepare secondary attack vector. The human fleet had arrived. The message was clear. Humanity was not just another civilization. They were a force of nature. The galaxy would never be the same again. The aftermath of the battle created a strange silence across multiple star systems. Captain Yuna Choi stood on the bridge of the secondary command vessel, her fingers hovering above the communication controls. She understood that this moment was about more than military victory. It was about sending a message that would echo through galactic civilizations. Surviving Void Marauder communication networks remained active, their remnant systems still desperately trying to understand what had just happened. Humans had not just defeated them, they had systematically dismantled their entire offensive capability with surgical precision. Broadcast on all frequencies, Choi commanded. Her message was simple, direct, and chilling. You chose to prey on the defenseless. We are here to teach you the true meaning of warfare. The transmission went out in multiple alien languages, translated by advanced AI systems that understood the psychological impact of each word. It wasn't just a threat, it was a declaration of humanity's galactic intentions. Observation platforms from dozens of alien civilizations watched in stunned silence. The Krellner survivors, who had sent the original distress call, realized their rescuers were far more terrifying than the original threat. Humanity wasn't just a defensive force, they were a calculated, ruthless mechanism of total destruction. Intelligence reports began streaming back to Earth. Each destroyed Void Marauder vessel was analyzed, its technology studied and potentially reverse-engineered. What should have been a rescue mission had transformed into a complete technological evaluation of an entire alien civilization's military capabilities. Commander Lee's tactical teams worked efficiently, collecting data, scanning debris, and mapping the strategic implications of their victory. Every piece of information was a potential weapon, every fragment of alien technology a possible future advancement for human military science. The psychological impact spread quickly. Alien communication networks buzzed with reports of this unexpected intervention. Humanity, a species previously considered primitive and isolated, had just demonstrated capabilities that defied galactic understanding. Quantum communication relays captured the growing fear spreading through alien civilizations. The message was clear: humanity was not to be underestimated. They were a sleeping giant that had finally awakened. Admiral Jae-Hwa Kim watched the reports from Earth's Deep Space Command Center. Her smile was subtle but meaningful. Decades of preparation, secret technological development, and a culture of strategic thinking had led to this moment. The Void Marauders had made a critical mistake. They had assumed vulnerability where there was only potential energy waiting to be released. Humanity's response was a calculated demonstration of technological superiority that would be remembered for generations. Surviving Void Marauder leadership attempted emergency communications, seeking negotiations, or potential surrender. Their transmissions were met with cold silence. Humanity had no interest in diplomacy, only in sending a clear, unambiguous message about their capabilities. Intelligence analysts began mapping the strategic implications. This wasn't just a rescue mission, it was a coming-out party for humanity's true potential. Every alien civilization watching would now understand that Earth was not a planet to be ignored or conquered. The psychological warfare was more devastating than the physical destruction. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt spread faster than any weapon could travel. Humanity had demonstrated that they could appear anywhere, destroy anything, and vanish without significant losses. As communication networks continued to analyze the battle, one thing became abundantly clear: the galaxy had fundamentally changed. Humanity was no longer a footnote in cosmic history, they were a force to be recognized, respected, and potentially feared. Captain Choi's final transmission echoed across star systems: "This is just the beginning." The universe held its collective breath, understanding that everything had changed in a single, devastating moment of human intervention. Humanity had arrived. And they were not here to make friends. The final stage of humanity's intervention began with a precision that defied imagination. Admiral Jae-Hwa Kim's strategic plan was more than a military operation, it was a complete systematic erasure of an entire civilization's infrastructure. Human warships moved like surgical instruments through the Void Marauders' remaining star systems. Each movement was calculated, each strike purposeful. They weren't just destroying ships or military installations. They were dismantling an entire technological civilization, piece by piece. Quantum weapon systems targeted critical infrastructure. Communication networks collapsed. Power grids disintegrated. Planetary defense systems became nothing more than expensive scrap metal. The humans didn't just defeat their enemy. They completely unraveled their entire technological existence. Lieutenant Sungmin Park monitored the tactical displays, his fingers moving with surgical precision. Each targeted strike removed another piece of the Void Marauders' ability to resist or rebuild. Entire planetary networks went dark, their complex systems reduced to lifeless husks. The scale of destruction was unprecedented. Massive space stations that had taken centuries to build disappeared in moments. Research facilities holding thousands of years of technological knowledge became cosmic dust. The humans were conducting more than a war, they were performing a complete cultural extinction. Surviving Void Marauder leadership watched in horror. Their most advanced defensive systems were neutralized before they could even activate. Humanity moved through their star systems like a technological plague, leaving nothing but silence and emptiness. Communication intercepts revealed the growing terror. Alien military commanders realized they were facing a force that didn't just want to defeat them, they wanted to completely erase their existence from galactic memory. Admiral Kim's strategy was brutally simple. Total elimination. No survivors. No potential for future resistance. Specialized human ships with advanced scanning technologies mapped every remaining Void Marauder installation. Nothing would be left to chance. Each system was methodically analyzed, targeted, and destroyed with mathematical precision. The psychological impact was perhaps more devastating than the physical destruction. Other galactic civilizations watched in stunned silence as humanity conducted what could only be described as a clinical removal of an entire species' technological infrastructure. Quantum communication networks captured the final moments. The Void Marauders, once considered an unstoppable force of cosmic destruction, were being systematically dismantled by a species they had previously ignored. Lieutenant Park's final tactical report was chillingly brief: total system neutralization achieved. No potential for future reconstruction. As the last Void Marauder installation collapsed, a strange silence spread across multiple star systems. Humanity had done more than win a war. They had sent a message that would echo through galactic history for generations. The rescue mission had transformed into something far more significant. It was a demonstration of humanity's true potential, a warning to any civilization that might consider Earth a potential target. Surviving observation platforms from other alien civilizations captured every moment. They were witnessing the birth of a new galactic power, a species that could appear anywhere, destroy anything, and vanish without significant losses. Admiral Kim's final communication was simple and direct: mission completed. The universe had changed. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not as peaceful explorers, but as a force of absolute technological and strategic superiority. As human ships began their return journey, the message was clear: Earth was no longer a backwater planet to be ignored. They were a sleeping giant that had finally awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Lieutenant Sungmin Park whispered into the communication channel, his words capturing the moment's significance: mission accomplished. The reckoning was complete. Humanity had spoken. And the universe had no choice but to listen.